Welcome to the Healthpreneur podcast. My name is Uriel Kame, New York Times bestselling author, former professional athlete, and founder of Healthpreneur, the world's leading company helping health and fitness experts start and scale high-end coaching businesses. If you want to attract more clients, learn how to convert them without feeling salesy, and deliver an amazing program for them on the back end, if you want to be inspired by what others just like you have gone through and how you can do the same no matter what life throws your way, then you are in the right place, because every single week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we're going to be bringing you the best to help you take your knowledge and expertise to the next level with your health or fitness coaching business. And if you enjoy what you see and hear and would like to take your business to the next level, then I invite you to check out our free online training over at healthpreneurgroup.com/training. And for now, let's get into today's episode. How's it going, guys? Yuri here, back with you, and welcome back to the show. So, I've got a fun episode for you today. Let me ask you a question. Are you a jack of all trades? Are you the person, the health expert, the fitness coach, the health or fitness expert who is amazing at many, many things and finding it tough to grow your business? Well, the two are very closely related. Now, let me share a story with you about when I started my business online. I was the jack of all trades. I was the guy who I just wanted to help everyone, right? So I was helping people with weight loss, with energy, with pretty much anything. I was a generalist. And if you've seen any of my work around this, you probably haven't, because you haven't sat in one of my masterminds. But if you have, then this will make sense. But there are what I call the pyramid of influence, okay? So the pyramid of influence has 4 stages, and everyone starts off at the bottom. And the bottom is what we call a generalist. And the thing is, as you climb this pyramid, the easier it becomes to influence people, okay? So everyone starts off at the bottom as a generalist. So you have a general knowledge of health, fitness, conditions, whatever. You feel like you can help a lot of people, and just because you can doesn't mean you should. So the next level from the generalist is a specialist. And a specialist is someone who, like a doctor, is, let's say, a general practitioner. The doctor then becomes a cardiac surgeon, right? So that's an example of a specialist. Let's use the example of Dr. Oz. So Dr. Oz started off as a normal doctor. Then he specialized in cardiac surgery, right? So he became a really, really good cardiac surgeon. And then he kind of lived in that specialist zone for quite some time. Now, before we go any further, there's a line that I draw between generalist and specialist, and that line underneath it is known as the death zone. So if you don't cross that barrier into the world of specialty, you're toast. You might as well just stop what you're doing and just fold up, because it's not going to work for you. And I'll tell you why in just a few moments. So let's look at Dr. Oz. Starts off as a generalist, becomes a specialist in cardiac surgery. Then something interesting happens. Then his wife, who's a producer, had some connections with Oprah Winfrey. And all of a sudden, Dr. Oz is now a guest health expert doctor, on the Oprah Winfrey show. Pretty cool, right? So all of a sudden, he's becoming more of an authority, which is the third level up this pyramid. So we have generalist, specialist, and authority now. Authority moving closer to the pinnacle of the pyramid. Now he's really become known around the world as not just a cardiac surgeon, but just as like America's doctor, right? That's kind of what ended up happening. And then lo and behold, he gets his own show, and he's on TV every single day, Monday through Friday. And he hits the pinnacle of the pyramid known as celebrity. So we go from generalist to specialist to authority to celebrity. Now, the goal for all of us is to climb this pyramid, is to climb this mountain, because the reality is that if you get up to celebrity, really like anything is possible. It's so easy. Like Kylie Jenner, right? I think she's like 22 or 23 years old. She's worth $1 billion. $1 billion, and she has 7 full-time employees. How the hell does that happen? Again, she might be 21. I don't even know, but she's in her early 20s. She's worth $1 billion, and she has a skincare company, I think. How does that even happen? It happens because she's at the pinnacle of the pyramid. She is a celebrity already, just like her sister Kim Kardashian is, right? So Kim Kardashian is the pinnacle of the pyramid. Now, I'm not saying Kim Kardashian is a great role model for any of us to aspire to, but when you have 20 million followers on Instagram, do you think you're going to have some influence? Look at The Rock. He's got, the last I saw, maybe 135 million followers on Instagram. That is 1/3 of the US population. Now, obviously not all of them are Americans, but let's say they were. That's 1/3 of the US population who follows and likes The Rock. So it's no wonder that when he comes out with the next movie, which by the way, most of his movies are crap, right? Like they're not really that great. Ballers on HBO is a great show, but for the most part, most of his movies are not that good, but they always crush it in the box office. Why? Well, because he's got that influence. At the pinnacle of the pyramid, you shout and people say, how high? Dr. Oz says, there's this new thing called raspberry ketones. All of a sudden it's gone. Like you can't even find it anywhere. Kim Kardashian says, I'm going to be at this club, and now the club is like lined up around the block. This is what happens with celebrity status. But you have to understand that you cannot start at celebrity. And this is the biggest fallacy that I see people make now, is they start doing the whole Instagram influencer stuff. Like, I'm a social media influencer. You should be blown up if that's what you say. Like, I'm going to be very honest with you. I can't stand when I see people's bios, like on LinkedIn or wherever else, and they're like, I'm a social media influencer. How about you stop shaking your ass and you actually provide value for people, right? Why don't you actually like be really good at what you do in terms of helping people? And let's do that instead of being some kind of like good looking influencer who makes people feel bad about themselves, but they follow you anyways because they're just so captivated by it. It just drives me crazy, okay? So the challenge is that we are in the era, the all-time no talent era. I was just watching this thing called Insta Famous on Netflix last night. This one chick, her name was Sexy Pantera or something. I don't know. She got famous because she had a video on YouTube that was seen by 30 or 300 million people. And it was her like shaking her butt. That's all it was, like her shaking her butt. And that created the platform from which she has now built, I don't even know how many followers she has, but it's got to be in the tens or hundreds of millions of people. It's ridiculous. That is the world in which we're living in. And that is some of the competition that we're dealing with. I think it's nonsense. But the cool thing is that if you're really good at what you do, you don't have to worry about that stuff. So what does all of this have to do with you and being a jack of all trades? Well, the reality is that if you're a jack of all trades, you can't climb the pyramid, right? The likelihood of you getting to the pinnacle of the pyramid, being a jack of all trades, is very, very unlikely. Now, Dr. Oz is America's doctor. I think that's his kind of his thing. So if he's America's doctor, what are you going to be? Are you going to be America's health coach? And please don't do this. Please don't do the America's #1 personal trainer, because what that does is it, at least in my mind, it shoots off the alarm bells to be like, bullshit. Who's giving you this title, right? I mean, you can say it yourself. Industry recognized #1 leader in whatever. Like, come on, man. Just say how you help people. Let's kind of keep it at that, and let your clients determine if you're the #1 or not. So where are we going with this? Yes, jack of all trades. So you need to jump over that hump from generalist to specialist. That's the first thing that you have to do. Otherwise, your business is going to sink like the Titanic. And I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but that's kind of what happens. So there was a lady in our community who was talking about how she's a self-diagnosed jack of all trades, and that's why it's a challenge for her to grow her business. And I'm like, good for you. Like, good for you for diagnosing that, because that's exactly what the problem is. Because when you are the jack of all trades, as they say, you are the master of none. The challenge with this is that if you say that, let's say I were to ask you, who do you help? Well, I help everyone. Well, what I'm thinking in my mind is, well, you're helping no one, right? So it's funny because a lot of times we have these conversations with prospective people in our community, say, hey, who do you help? And they're like, oh, I help all sorts of people. I'm like, great. How many clients do you currently have? And they're like, oh, I've got 0. I'm like, oh, wow. Interesting correlation, right? So what you need to think about is, instead of being a generalist, you need to become really good at one thing. But here's the worry, is that we think that if I only help people with Hashimoto's, I am alienating everyone else. If I only help good-looking soccer players who have alopecia, which would be me, I'm going to alienate everyone else. If I only help new moms lose the belly weight or the baby weight, I'm going to alienate everyone else. The pie is going to be too small. There's no way I could possibly build a successful business just helping this small group of people. And you're right, if that's your belief. And if you're thinking locally, perhaps. But even then, I live in Toronto, which is just so you know, a couple facts about Toronto. If you're American and you haven't been up to Toronto, shame on you. You have to come up to this amazing city because it is phenomenal. Fourth largest city in North America. Most people don't even know that. They think of Toronto as Niagara Falls, and they're not the same. Also, yeah, like I was up in Canada when I was 2 years old. I went to Niagara Falls. Please don't tell me that story. I hear it all the time. So if you want to come up to Toronto, June 26th and 27th is our mastermind that you can join in and sit in on for the 2 days. If you want more details on that, healthpreneurgroup.com/2 DAY. All the info is there. Not only will you get to hang out with me and some amazing entrepreneurs in our space and really help you build your business to the next level, but you'll get to see Toronto and experience it. It's a really good city, especially in the summertime. So we're talking about, even if we stayed local, so Toronto has 6 or 7 million people, so quite large. Even if I just said I'm only going to target new moms in Toronto, that's a very large population, right? Maybe that's 1 million people. But here's the cool thing is that, and this is funny because we speak to a lot of people, and many of them, they think so small. They're like, I live in this rural area. There's no way I could target all these people. And I'm like, there's this thing called Facebook that allows you to target anyone around the world. So I've got some friends that live in Eden, Utah, which is the middle of nowhere, pretty much. It's a beautiful area, but there's no one who lives there. Maybe a couple thousand people. And these guys, and now they've built a community in and around the Mormons, which is interesting because all these guys, they're building these massive houses. They're like 7 and 8 figure entrepreneurs in the health and fitness space. And they live in this tiny little town called Eden, Utah. But you know how they're able to do that? It's this amazing thing called the internet, which allows us to reach people all around the world. So if you're thinking like there's not enough people in this space, I promise you there are. Think of Facebook as your blog, as your email list, as your YouTube channel, as everyone you ever would possibly want to work with is on Facebook. 1 billion users. Do you think you might find a few in there? I think so. So number one is you have to specialize. You have to niche down, and you need to target one single audience. That means one group of people who have the same problem and want to get the same outcome. A couple things happen there. Number one, your messaging becomes a lot more direct. So now you're not saying I help people get healthy, which means nothing to everyone. You are the experts for people who have one quad that is smaller than the other, like literally to that level of specification. Now, maybe not that specialized, but you need to narrow down to the point where people feel like you're speaking exactly to them and they feel that they're in the right place by working with you, right? And that's why if you have an ear infection, it might make sense to go to the ear, nose, and throat specialist, right? As opposed to a general practitioner who's probably just gonna give you an antibiotic. If you need heart surgery, you're not gonna go to your general practitioner. You're gonna go to the hospital and require a cardiac surgeon. If you have a tumor in your brain, you are going to have a brain surgeon. What a thought. So why should you and your business be any different? Do you think about this, like, why do brain surgeons get paid so handsomely, right? They get paid a lot of money. Well, number one, no one else can do what they do, or very few people can do what they do, and they're extremely specialized. So you have to ask yourself, can other people do what I do? The answer is probably yes, which means that you have to find a better way to serve your clients so you can be even more valuable to them. But second is if you specialize in helping people specifically with like adrenal fatigue or Hashimoto's or hair loss or libido, whatever it is, you now are in a much smaller competitive arena, because there are very, very few people who are specializing to that level, because they're all doing the same thing. I'm telling you guys, like, the bar is set so low, it's ridiculous. I help people improve their wellness. You're going out of business, okay? Don't say stuff like that. Everyone else is talking about that stuff. And that's why so many health coaches, the average income for a health coach is $45,000. The average tenure of a health coach is just 1 to 3 years. And this is according to statistics from, I can't remember where, but I do remember one of my presentations talking about this. $45,000 a year is $20,000 more than the poverty line. The poverty line is $25,000 and change. $45,000 is literally, what is that, just under $4,000 a month. Now, if you lived in Toronto, your rent alone would be $3,000 minimum for work, like if you're living in and around, pretty much in the city, for a 1-bedroom condo. So unless, again, not everyone's living in big cities, but you have to understand that $45,000 does not go anywhere. Like, you cannot live a great quality life on $45,000. Anything under that, like, I mean, anything, I would say anything even under $100,000 is very, very, like, you're scraping by, okay? The world is expensive. If you want to enjoy the fruits of life, if you want to take a vacation, right? If you got a family, you're looking at minimum $5,000 right there, right? So you need to think about, how do I make more money? Well, yeah, we all want to make more money. If you want to make more money, you got to serve more people, or you need to serve the people you're working with at a greater level. So you can charge premium prices, you can earn a lot more. And in order to do that, you need to be the specialist. Like, you can't be the jack of all trades. Because number one, if you're charging premium prices, when I say premium prices, I'm talking about you are working with people for a specific outcome. And that outcome might be, let's say, lose the last 10 pounds, or it might be to lose the baby weight. It's not about how many sessions. It's not about like dollars per session. It's an 8-week program. We're going to work together. It's $5,000. Now, not everyone's going to afford that, right? And that's totally fine. You don't want to work with them. You want to work with people who say, like, you know what? Yes, I'm ready to step up. I'm willing to do this now. I'm willing to make this happen. But you can't charge those prices when your promise is, I'm going to help you get healthy. Because what does that mean? We've talked about this in a previous episode, why no one is buying your stuff, episode 224 on the podcast. Like, why no one is buying your stuff. Like, your promises and your offers are so vague that people can't even visualize what that looks like. I help people achieve optimal wellness. What the heck does that even mean, right? I help people get fit. Well, what does fit mean, right? So you have to really be concrete around this stuff, and your messaging needs to be bang on. And in case you're wondering, this is the first thing we do with our clients, because nothing else matters until this happens. You can't put together a great offer until you know exactly who you're speaking to and what your promise is, right? What it is you can do for these clients. So if we go back to the pyramid of influence, right? The generalist is somebody who is like, I'm a health coach and I just help everyone. Yay. I make a few grand here, but whatever. I blog on the side, Here's another tell. Is if you go to LinkedIn and look at someone's profile and they say they are a health expert, cookbook author, healthy chef, horse riding enthusiast, like it goes on and on and on and on and on. Like, the more things they add in their description and their bio, the less likely they are to be successful. And why is that? Because they're not really good at one thing, so they do a bunch of other things. I'm a health coach. I'm a freelance writer. I'm a TV expert. I do the occasional gig here and there. Why is it that you're doing all that stuff? Because you're not really, really good at one thing. And as a result of that, you have to do a bunch of other things to make ends meet. And so when I'm looking at I use LinkedIn quite a bit. When I look at it, it's a very easy tell for me to be like, yeah, this person's not someone I want to speak with, because they're probably not in a position to even work with us or ask for help, because they just can't, right? So you have to jump the chasm from generalist to specialist, and you need to identify who is it that I love working with, who can I create the best results for, and being okay with saying, I'm not helping everyone else. Because I know like what we do with Healthpreneur, we can help a lot of people in other businesses. I mean, I could do what I do with Healthpreneur across every single possible industry in coaching, right? If you're a consultant to accountants or lawyers, I mean, our stuff can help you as well, but I choose not to because it dilutes our message, it dilutes our brand, and it dilutes the potency of that. See, we want to be known as the only place for health and fitness experts to get more clients and scale their coaching. I don't care about helping accountants and lawyers and other professionals. We only want to work with health and fitness experts. So that's the decision you have to make. And you have to understand that by going narrow, by kind of niching down, you're able to scale up. And that's the big thing I want you to think about from this episode. So hope this makes sense. And if you're somebody who's listening to this and you're thinking, man, it's like, yeah, I need to narrow this down and really get kind of clear on this. Well, here's what I'm going to suggest. Join us in Toronto if obviously you meet the following 3 criteria. Number 1, you have experience as a coach. So you're currently coaching clients, right? So you're not just like, you didn't just graduate yesterday. So you've been coaching for a while, you're coaching clients, and you're generating revenue. Okay? If you meet those 3 criteria, then I'd invite you to apply to join us in Toronto at our upcoming Luminaries Mastermind, which is June 26th and 27th. So again, the website is healthpreneurgroup.com/2 DAY, which spells day. So healthpreneurgroup.com/2 day. The reason I'm suggesting you join us is because the first thing we're going to do on day 1 is we're going to nail on day 1, we're going to really nail out your $1 million model. And the first part of that is getting extremely clear on your perfect clients. Now, if you're coaching clients already and your business is doing okay, there's probably some room for improvement. And if you've already narrowed that down, that's great. We can add some fuel to the fire. But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to really get specific on who that person is and what the messaging is around that, so that when you put your stuff out onto the interwebs, people finally resonate with it. They're like, wow, this is the person I want to speak with. This is the person I want to help me deal with this issue. And then from there, obviously, we're going to show you how to do predictable prospecting. So you get people coming in, knocking on your door every single day of the week without you doing anything. We'll show you how to teach to sell, ask and assess, coach to close. And then on day 2, you're going to be thrown into the mix with our existing clients, and you'll kind of get to enjoy some next level stuff that we talk about with them to move their businesses to the next level. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We do this 3 times a year. We do it in Toronto in June because Toronto in June is amazing. And again, I think we're half sold out right now. If you want to join us, healthpreneurgroup.com/2 day, not today, right? Not TODAY, but 2, like the number 2, DAY. Fill out the application if you're interested, and then I'll get back to you within about 24 hours with a yay or nay. Cool. Thanks again for joining me on the podcast. Hope you've enjoyed this episode, and it's time to niche down, baby. I'll see you soon. Hey, thanks so much for joining us on this episode of the Healthpreneur podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, here's what I'd like you to do right now. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the Healthpreneur podcast on iTunes. And while you're there, leave us a rating or review. It helps us get in front of more people and change more lives. And if you're ready to start or scale your health or fitness coaching business and want to start getting in front of more people, working with them at a higher level without trading time for money, then I invite you to check out our free 7-figure health business blueprint training, totally free right now. And you can do so at healthpreneurgroup.com/training. For now, thank you so much for joining us. Continue to be great, do great, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.